Ukrainian. So I don't really speak Ukrainian. I'm Japanese. I don't look Japanese, but I'm naturalized Japanese. So I'm from Japan. I live in Tokyo, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Soramitsu. So we're a Japanese fintech company. I need a clicker person.
You can tell next, I will click for you.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so I'm a PhD student in computer science at the University of Tokyo. I got my master's and grew up in California. But I lived in Japan for 10 years. I worked in a neuroscience research lab for 7 years. And 2.5 years ago, I started this company, Soramitsu. So who are we? We are the original developers and contributors of Hyperledger Iroha. So Iroha is a blockchain platform that's part of the Hyperledger project that's run by the Linux Foundation. And it's a permissioned ledger, so it's not a public blockchain like Bitcoin or Ethereum or NEM or anything like that. So it's just made for enterprises, and we have many different clients. One of the biggest projects we're working on is Project Bakhong with the National Bank of Cambodia. This is a settlement system for the country that's based on blockchain, and we're a proud member of the Japan Blockchain Association. Yeah, he does that. Okay. Hyperledger Iroha is all open source. You can check it out on the Hyperledger GitHub. It's just Hyperledger/Iroha. And it's written in C++, and we have lots of use case partners that kind of join in this project, and over 600 active members in the open source community. So please check it out when you get the chance. And then we've done many different projects in Japan. You can switch to the next slide. Working for insurance companies, for banks, for securities companies. We've worked with some institutions like University of Tokyo, University of Aizu, and International University of Japan Glocom. We've been in business for 2.5 years. So we've done a lot of different things during this time. And just keep going. Yeah, next one. And actually last week we won in Japan Visa's Everywhere initiative. So we won the Audience Favorite Award. We talked about how to use blockchain to combine different points into one unified point system. And you can just skip this and go on to the next one. Next. Okay, and our company focuses mainly up until now on 2 different areas, on digital asset management and digital identity. So basically, what does someone have and who are they are the big questions. And we have 4 different projects that we work on. One is D3, which is Decentralized Digital Depository. We're doing this with, as a joint venture with Moscow Exchange Group in Russia, but it's an international initiative, and there's many different people working with it, for example, the depository in Slovenia. We are working with NBC, the National Bank of Cambodia, on Project Bakhong, which is a blockchain-based retail payment system for the Kingdom of Cambodia. And I go to Cambodia about once a month for this project. We work on Sora Passport, which is for the Sora ecosystem that I'll be talking about today. And of course, all these use Hyperledger Iroha. So up until now, our company has really been focused on traditional financial institutions, insurance companies, and things like that. But now, for the first time, we're branching off into cryptocurrency space as a company. And that's what I want to talk about today. This is actually the first time I'm talking about it publicly, so it's actually quite a landmark event for me personally. But I'm going to talk about Sora. Sora is a decentralized autonomous economy. It's a decentralized economic system is what we're trying to create. So there's already many different cryptocurrencies that are decentralized, for example, Bitcoin or Ethereum, or if you want to call Ethereum a currency. There's many different good projects out there. And these focus on the technology as well as the crypto economics. But the problem with Bitcoin and Ethereum and other related currencies is they don't have a rational economic system. So there's no, every day 1,500 Bitcoins are created, but these are given only to miners. They're not distributed in any logical or rational way. At the country level, many central banks work to distribute new purchasing power so that it benefits the economy. So these are called GDP positive transactions. Unfortunately, there's also the concept of GDP negative transactions, and these are transactions that are, new purchasing power is created for, really for activity that doesn't help the economy. What happens is you create money and it just kind of is used in speculation to asset bubbles or different things like that. In the case of Bitcoin, you create all this money, 1,500 Bitcoins a day, but instead of using it to boost up the Bitcoin ecosystem, these miners just sell it for electricity or for more mining power or to compete with other people, or even to create sometimes competing projects to Bitcoin, like in the case of Bitmain. So it's really not a rational economic system. So what we want to do is work to remedy some of the problems that other cryptocurrencies have. So if you go to the next slide. One of these is, and this sounds funny to talk about, but in Bitcoin, the distribution of all new Bitcoins is very centralized. Everything goes only to miners. It doesn't go to any kind of other types of ecosystem players. In the Bitcoin ecosystem, there's many different companies and startups and individuals, but all the money that is created only goes to one group of people, that's the miners. And that's not really, really decentralized model. And it's also a terrible economic model too. It would be like, at the country level, let's say the United States created all the new dollars and only gave it to ExxonMobil. Okay, it's the same type of thing. So you need a better economic model. And also, one of the recent advents of ICOs, everyone tries to create their new tokens. And if you do that, it's really hard to collaborate. So you have thousands of different tokens, or there's like 25,000 ERC20 tokens on Ethereum. All these projects want to help their own token. They don't really want to expand the ecosystem. So this discourages collaboration. So to remedy this, we want to create this project called Sora. And in Sora, what we do to remedy centralized distribution is we allow the users of the system, so people who are in the economy, to choose how do you allocate new money. It's not just done for mining, right? And through that, we hope to get a better economic model because, thousands, tens of thousands of people coming together and making decisions based on their own esoteric or egocentric knowledge, that makes it much easier to build something that can help the whole economy as a whole. And this has been shown in the case of Germany, where in Germany there's thousands of not-for-profit local banks, and they make individual loan decisions, and through a loan, new money is created and allocated, but it's allocated in such a way that helps the many local parts of the economy. And so what we're doing is, or what we hope to do is do the same thing at the global level by letting the users have the power of allocation of new money. And by having a combined economic system under one currency, what we can do is we can encourage people to collaborate together. So if you go to the next slide. So our mission, is democratization of the creation of new money, empowerment of individuals by using the new money in a logical and rational way, and helping people to collaborate through a common economic model. And we can skip this, because, cryptocurrencies can be good for humanity. I don't have to convince this crowd. Yeah. So what is the model that we're trying to push, that we're proposing? It's to create this system where there's different producers in the ecosystem, and then there's consumers. So economic systems that are sustainable have to have these dynamic loops where you have the producers and consumers of some product or good, and that's really how an economic system takes off. So what we have is, if you go to the, okay, that's fine. What we have is these 7 steps. So you have producers that make a proposal for a project, and it's important to note that the projects should contribute to the ecosystem in some way. So it should be, so for example, I'm a farmer, I want to grow some wheat, and the wheat that I grow will only be sold for this currency, or something like that, right? So some kind of work that expands the ecosystem and makes the economy larger, because that makes it GDP positive. So we want to make it so that new money that is created in the ecosystem, in this economy, is only created for projects. It's not created for speculation, it's not created for people just paying themselves or paying electricity for like mining or anything like that. All the new money is created to fund these projects, so people propose a project, and then the users in the system, they have the power of the allocation of this money. Everyone has votes. The votes are not yes and no votes. What they are allocation rights. So if you have 100 votes, you have the power to allocate 100 of units of the new currency Sora, is how it works. So people propose a project, users vote for the project, and then if the vote passes, if the project raises the number of votes that are needed, let's say you need 10,000 votes, and you get the 10,000 votes within the deadline, the project is now funded. And the way it's funded is you don't take existing money and give it to the projects. You create new money out of nothing. So this is an inflationary economic model. I think many people in the cryptocurrency space have an allergy to the word inflation, but it's important to note that inflation is not a bad thing. Inflation can help the economy if it's done in the right way. If you create new money for a transaction that expands the economy, you don't have any asset price inflation. What you have is you can actually have asset price deflation because the pie is getting bigger in essence. So, so the project gets funded, then the project is created, and then there's different services that are created by the producer, and then the users in the ecosystem in the economy can use these services, and then the projects are prosperous, and new things can get done. And so governance, of course, is very important, and this is a very deep topic that I could talk about for much more than a couple of minutes, but I'll just say that everything in the economy has to be decentralized. But at the same time, you have to prevent scams and things that are bad for humanity. And one of the ways you do this is by doing due diligence on all the projects. So all the projects that are proposed, you have to do some due diligence on them. And it's the job of my company, Soramitsu, to do that. But to make this decentralized, Soramitsu should be replaceable. So if people are not happy with the project, with the work that we're doing, we can be replaced, is the governance model. To manage the voting rights that people have, we're creating this application. This will be released, I think, in October. And you install it on your phone. And what this does is it acts like a passport into this economic system. And we want to make all the APIs public, so you don't have to use this app. You could use some other app that you could create yourself. But at the beginning, it's just going to be this app, just because it takes time to build decentralized things. So you install the app, and then every week we give out voting rights. 30 million voting rights are distributed to all the users. And that's the economic model. So up to 30 million new units of the currency can be created every week. That's about 1.6 billion a year. And it's just this flat, consistent model that everyone can see exist. And this is based on the Sora identity protocol. So I published this paper in July at an IEEE conference in Japan. And you can check out this paper. I can give it to anyone if you want it. Okay. So for the voting rights, the way that they're calculated is very important. So the way it's calculated at the beginning is just very simple. So you install the app and you maybe enter some information about yourself. And then if you invite new people to install the app and download it, then you can get some extra reputation, and the reputation is calculated and given out. The voting rights are distributed every week. This is a really simple model, but that's just at the beginning. But later on, what we want to do is actually do graph theoretic analysis of all the transactions that people do in the economy to find out, who is contributing to the economy and who's a key player in this. So you can use graph theory to elicit a lot of this. And you can also look at the voting history of users. So if you vote for a project and the project's successful, then you should get a higher reputation. So one of the reasons why users would want to participate in this at all is because when you vote, you get 5% of the new money that's allocated. So if you vote for 100 new Sora being allocated to a project, you get 5 Sora basically. So it's kind of like Bitcoin mining, except you don't have to invest in any hardware or anything. You just have to participate in the economy and the due diligence process for the way that new money is allocated. And I think I'm about done. And according to economic theory, of course, wait, yeah, just keep going. So, just go down towards the. I just want to go to this one here. So this is the Telegram chat that you can join for more information, but I just wanted to say that according to economic theory, the way that this currency would have value is by bootstrapping this economic cycle of producers and consumers, and by building real projects that create value into the core of the economic model. We think that we can solve a lot of the problems in current cryptocurrencies. So that's all I've got to say.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you for presentation. You told about right economic models, right distribution model, rational economic. What KPI of rational economic for you?
Okay, so yeah, so the KPIs are hard. I think that really the amount of human capital that can be funded every year is a good KPI. So what I mean by that is you don't want to peg this to to fiat currencies like dollar or anything like a traditional market cap. Instead, you want to look at units of productivity. So if you can create 100 new Sora, how much human productivity is that? How many hours can someone work to build something for this amount of money? I think that's the KPI we're looking at.
Thanks, guys. If you have any questions, please raise your hand.
Hey, your solution is built on some Hyperledger decisions or your own?
Okay, yeah, so that's a good point, and I didn't have time to talk about all the technology involved. We're using ERC20 token at the beginning, but I want to say that we think the economic system is more important than the technology. Technology changes every year or two, but the economics we want to last 1,000 years or 10,000 years. So it's important to create a system that can be moved in many different ways. A good example is like US dollar. US dollar you can pay in cash, or you can pay PayPal, or you can pay credit card. There's many different payment systems, but for the same unit of account. And that's what we want to do here. So we built a bridge between Ethereum and our own ledger, Hyperledger Iroha. In the future, we want to include other blockchains as well. So we're looking at, I don't really want to name names, but we're looking at a few different chains right now.
Okay, thank you a lot. Our next speaker is...
Yeah, thanks.
Applause.